Welcome back, everyone. Today we're breaking down another fascinating police body cam encounter. This traffic stop starts with what appears to be a routine speeding violation, but it quickly turns into a debate over traffic laws, officer discretion, and the driver's attitude. As always, we'll examine what both sides are saying, what the officer is trying to accomplish, and where the interaction starts to become tense. Let's jump right in.
Why I'm stopping you. Did you notice I was behind you?
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
Yeah.
Okay. I noticed that you were obviously going faster than 65, and then you made an unsafe lane change.
You're kidding me, right?
I'm not. Do you have your license and registration, please?
Yeah. So the whole time I was being passed by the, I don't know, like 20 other cars around us.
Can you speak up? I can't hear you.
I said, so we were being passed that whole time by the 20 other cars around us. That wasn't a concern to you, hey?
Can I have your license and registration?
That's kind of what I thought.
I noticed the license plates. They don't seem like California, or is there a nearby? Where are they from?
So how is it?
I'll go over there so I can talk to you, man.
The picture begins with the officer asking a simple question. When I'm stopping you, did you notice I was behind you? The driver immediately apologizes, saying, yeah, I'm sorry, but that cooperative moment doesn't last long. The officer explains his reasons for the stop. According to him, the driver was traveling well over the 65 mile per hour speed limit and made an unsafe lane change. Instead of accepting the explanation, the driver responds with, you're kidding me, right? This is the first turning point in the encounter. Rather than simply providing documentation, the driver chooses to challenge the officer's observations. The officer then asks for the driver's license and registration, which is standard procedure during a traffic stop. But instead of immediately complying, the driver argues that many other vehicles were passing them at similar speeds. This is a common argument during traffic stops. Many drivers believe that because others were speeding, they shouldn't be singled out. Legally, however, an officer only needs probable cause to stop one vehicle for a violation. The fact that other drivers may also have been speeding doesn't invalidate the stop. One piece of knowledge can change how a situation ends for you. Subscribe now so you're prepared. Then share this video and tell me what you think about it.
All right.
How is it an unsafe lane change?
Okay, so here's the thing. You obviously caught my attention because
I drive a Lamborghini.
You're like, no, not necessarily, because look, I'm a sergeant, and I don't normally pull traffic stops, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So, I noticed, when I looked at my speedometer, I was pacing you, you were like over 80 miles per hour. And the other thing is you're revving your engine, like exhaust loudly.
What? No, this is how the car drives.
So much that when I was on the phone, the officer was like, what is that I was talking to? The other thing is, when you made a change, when you're in the number one lane and you made that left lane change, the vehicle that was behind you had to stop on its brakes.
As the officer continues requesting documents, the driver notices that the officer is looking at his license plate and asks about it. The officer then moves closer to the driver's window to explain the situation more clearly. Interestingly, the driver suggests that the real reason for the stop is because he's driving a Lamborghini. This is where the psychology of the stop becomes interesting. The driver believes his expensive sports car attracted unwanted attention. The officer quickly rejects that idea, explaining that he's actually a sergeant who doesn't usually conduct traffic enforcement, and that the vehicle itself wasn't the issue. From the officer's perspective, he's trying to establish that the stop was based on observed violations rather than the type of car.
Well, that happens sometimes.
Well, that's why I'm explaining the violation.
That's not a violation. Braking because someone's lane changing and signaling is not illegal.
The vehicle behind
car was speeding.
By its brakes.
No, how do you know? How do you know he wasn't speeding? If you're saying I was speeding, then he must have been going even faster.
Speeding. That was an unsafe lane. So where is this license from?
It's from British Columbia, Canada.
How long have you been in the state of California?
4 days.
24 hours at
vacation?
Yep.
Yeah, cool. Is the license valid in Canada?
It is.
Is this registration? This is your insurance?
Insurance is the small one. Registration is the big one.
You know what the speed limit is on the freeway?
Yeah, it's 65.
Okay. And how fast do you think you were going?
65.
All right, wait in the car, okay?
Yeah.
Unsafe lane change my.
Not sure what he's doing, but he's on his phone.
He had to find his
The
ticket.
officer provides more details about what he observed. He says he paced the Lamborghini at over 80 miles per hour in a 65 zone. He also mentions the loud engine revving and exhaust noise. The driver quickly explains that the car naturally sounds loud and that he wasn't intentionally showing off. This highlights an interesting aspect of exotic cars. High-performance vehicles often produce significant engine noise during normal operation, but excessive noise can still draw attention from law enforcement. The officer then returns to what he considers the more serious issue, the lane change. According to him, another driver had to brake suddenly because of the Lamborghini's movement into the lane. This is where the conversation turns into an actual debate over traffic laws. The driver argues that other vehicles braking because someone changes lanes isn't automatically illegal. He then asks a logical question. If the vehicle behind him had to brake because he was speeding, then wasn't that vehicle speeding as well? The driver is attempting to point out what he sees as an inconsistency in the officer's reasoning. The officer doesn't get pulled into a lengthy argument. Instead, he shifts back to gathering identification and completing the traffic stop. This is often a tactic officers use to keep the encounter focused and prevent roadside debates from escalating. The officer notices that the driver's license is from British Columbia, Canada. He asks how long the driver has been in California. The answer is 4 days. The officer verifies whether the Canadian license is valid and asks for insurance and registration. These are routine questions. Officers frequently verify the status of out-of-state or international drivers to ensure their documents are valid. The driver cooperates by explaining which document is the insurance card and which one is the registration. At this point, the interaction becomes much calmer than it was during the earlier arguments. The officer asks a straightforward question. Do you know what the speed limit is? The driver answers correctly, 65 miles per hour. The officer then asks another important question. How fast do you think you were going? The driver's answer is simple, 65. This creates a direct conflict between the officer's observations and the driver's version of events. The officer believes the vehicle was traveling above 80 miles per hour. The driver completely denies speeding. At the same time, the officer appears to be checking information on his phone or computer, while the driver comments that he's not sure what the officer is doing. This leaves the encounter at an interesting point where the facts remain disputed. There are several important takeaways from this body cam. First, the officer had multiple stated reasons for the stop: speeding, an unsafe lane change, and loud engine noise. Second, the driver consistently challenged the officer's observations instead of simply accepting them. Third, both individuals remained relatively calm. While there was obvious disagreement, neither side allowed the interaction to become openly hostile. From the driver's perspective, he may genuinely believe he wasn't doing anything wrong and that his Lamborghini made him stand out. From the officer's perspective, he observed multiple traffic violations that justified initiating the stop. One of the biggest lessons from this body cam is that roadside traffic stops are generally not the place to settle factual disputes. Whether the officer's observations are ultimately correct can often be challenged later through the legal process. But during the stop, the officer's primary objective is to investigate the alleged violation and ensure roadway safety. This body cam also shows how quickly a routine traffic stop can shift from a simple document check into a detailed debate over traffic laws and driving behavior. What do you think? Was the officer justified based on what he described seeing? Or does the driver make some valid points about being singled out and the nature of normal highway traffic? Share your thoughts, and we'll see you in the next body cam breakdown.